Welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, I'll be teaching you how to draft a simple A-line dress. So fold your fabric by using your hip divided by 4 plus 5 or 10 inches, 5 to 10 inches. That's you can use 6 or 7 to 10 inches. Then measure your shoulder divided by 2, and I added ½ inch to mine because she's plus size. I'm marking 10 inch for my armhole.
You can reduce yours to 8 or 9 if you're not plus size.
Make ½ inch slants, and the other ½ inch is going to be for joining front and back. Then you're left with 9 inches. Mark as shown, then proceed to measure your half length plus ½ an inch. From the ½ an inch, place your tape rule and mark 8 inch there. That will be your hip. Place your tape rule and measure your full length and add your sewing allowance to it. Minimum 2 inches add to your gown length. I already chalk my length, my hemline. Then we're taking the horizontal measurement, that is the bust measurement over there as illustrated.
So now I am marking the 8.5 I marked before to form a straight line for the armhole line. So to get this curve, you can decide to mark 1 inch from that angle, or you mark 1.25. Mark your bust measurement divided by 4 plus 1.5 inch as sewing allowance and ease allowance. Proceed to your half length.
Divide your waist measurement by 4 and add 1.5 inch to it.
Moving on, you skip your hip part and move to your hemline to mark your hip measurement plus the 5 to 10 inch that you're using. Then on the hemline, proceed to measure your hip measurement divided by 4 plus the extension you desire. You can use to 5 inch to 10 inch
depending on the amount of fabric you're working with. I'm marking my own extension, which is 10 inch. Mind you, you can use 9 if you want. Next, you connect the marks you've done. You connect it, but then cross-check your measurements. Then on the hip part, make sure to check your measurements to find out maybe your hip measurement is there and you still have a lot of allowance to work with there. Okay, you can also decide to shape that edge that I am indicating.
From the sharp angle, measure 3 inch like I'm doing. Then proceed to find the middle point like I'm doing in the video. Also mark 3 inch from that top, right, like I'm doing, and from that angle as well, yeah, like I'm illustrating. Then you connect it like I'm doing with my hands. Moving on, you're going to have to measure the width of your neckline. I'm using about 4.5 to 5 inch Then for the depth, I'm using about 6 to 7 inches because she's plus size. She needs a lot of hair. Then you slant your neckline by ½ inch, like I'm doing. So then there we have it. Our front is ready. Okay, so this is me cutting the front parts of the outfit. So I already cut the back as well. The back is exactly like the front because it is not having a zipper allowance. We're going to be making a opening at the back. I'll show you how we're going to get that done. So for now, we're measuring the neck depth. I'm using 2 inches for the neck depth. Then you're going to connect it back like that. Then you proceed to make a mark of 8 inches where I want a slit to be at the back. Everything is the same aside from the neckline and the center back. The measurements for the back is also the same thing with the front. Next, let's draft out the sleeve. So I divided the measurement of my client, the arm measurements I took of my client, and I'm trying to find the perfect side to use. So I'm drawing my starting line. Then you mark 2 inches on the top like that. On that top, you mark 2 inches there. Then you mark 4.5 there because she's plus size. For another person, you can mark 4 inches for bust 33 to 36. So then I'm making that's 1 inch for my sewing allowance over there. Then I'm trying to make a line like that. Yeah, the way I place my tape rule like that to find the middle point. Mind you, I stopped at the allowance tip. I marked the middle point. And you mark ½ inch at that point, at that 2 inches point, you mark ½ inch there. You mark ½ inch. Then you connect it to that middle point. Then you move forward by marking the half of that point where my hand are as indicated. You find the middle point and you mark as well. Then you place your tape rule and mark ½ inch like I'm doing. You mark ½ inch like I'm doing right there. You mark it, then you connect it all like I did back to the armhole. Then you mark your desired length plus 1 inch sewing allowance. Mine was 11. You place your tape like that as well. Mark 11. Then Whatever I'm marking there, it is the measurement. I'm minusing 1 from the top measurements and I'm connecting it back like that, just like I'm doing right there. So I'm going to cut it out. That is my sleeve. Mind you, we're still cutting flare for the down parts because it has flare. You see what I've cut out? Moving on, I'm measuring my length for, I'm using 26 length on fold for the flare that I'm attaching to this sleeve. Then for the length, I am marking about 14 inches for the length to achieve the flare. You know, the length is 26, about 26. For the width, it is 14, but you will understand it as time goes on. I think I'm going to make a separate video for flare. It's going to be a separate video, but you can keep on watching if you want to learn something. Okay, so yeah, you need to check for the measurement you have on the sleeve right there, because that's where we're attaching it, to know what you are cutting out for the circumference. Yeah, so over here I'm placing my tape rule to get the desired width. So I'm using about 3 inches there. I've marked 3 inches round that corner. I'm marking 3 inches, 3 inches around the corner like I'm doing, but I'm still going to cross check it, because you need to measure around it and times it by 4 to actually know if it is the required amount of number. Yeah, that's me cross checking. Yeah, I'm cross checking. Look at that. So I'm going to times that by 4 to know if it is my desired number. Look at that. So 5 times 4, that's 20. So that is not enough for me. That's enough for me. So I'm going to mark the length from where I placed my tape rule. I'm marking the length like you saw there. So because I already know the length from that, so I'm measuring it like that. The length I want 8 inches. So since I marked that 8 inches plus the 3 that I took there, that's what I'm marking there. That's like 17 or so. I think mine was like 12 or 13 inches. I can't really remember. But just keep on watching what I'm doing there. Yeah, you see what I did there? You see what I'm doing there? You see, that is me checking for the desired length that I actually wanted. So you connect it back like that. Then your flare is ready. Okay, so this is the flare. Now we're going to slit one part of it. We're going to cut one part of it open. So I'm cutting another. I want to make it appear because we've got 2 sleeves. So this is another form, another way of cutting. Easy way of cutting. So continue to watch. Moving on, I am slitting the back where I want an opening to be, since we're not using zip for the back. Okay, so moving on, we are going to split the back to where we notched at that point. Yes, that I marked. We're going to cut a facing for the back. For that pleat, we're going to cut facing for it. So I'm marking 11 inches for the length, 5 inch for the width. I'm adjusting it for the measurements. 5 inch for the width. You're going to mark 5 inch, so 5 by 11 inches is the measurements for the facing. Moving on, you're going to place right side facing each other of the facing. Then you're going to pin it, but before pinning it, you need to make sure you notch the middle of the facing like that, and then just watch what I'm doing in that video. I marked 1.5 inch down from where the slit stopped. Yeah, and I made sure to mark. So you need to place right side facing each other, and you mark out the middle to identify the middle, and you place it like I'm doing there. So then you fold that upward to just know where it is. Then you pin it. Then you can proceed to pipe your neck, but before then I have to show you a change in the style that I made later on. Okay, so yeah, I cut out a part of the upper parts to just make a little change to the hairline dress. I decided to use a velvet material for this style, so I'm going to show you. Yes, this is what I did, but this looks better than what you're seeing right here because the video is not doing justice to it. So I'm going to show you more of how I made this cut out. Pardon the unstable camera, but you can see my hand, you can follow my hand. Just made that design for her, and you've seen I've piped the neck. I even attached like something like and I piped the neck. The facing, what I use the facing to do, you see what I use the facing to do? I use it to turn that part. I notched that place that I'm touching. Yes, that down part where the knot stopped. I notched it after I made like a U sewing cut. I also make a hook for the button at the back, and then this is the pattern of it. So I'm going to show you how I achieved it. You first of all measure your half length plus half an inch. Mine was 17 and the half. So now place your tape rule like I'm doing, and you divide it into two, and you mark it in the middle. So to achieve the upper parts design, for this design I used 5 inch up there, but for someone that is not plus size you can use 4.5 inches there.
Then you proceed to use your ruler to connect it to the middle point. That is the middle of the folded fabric. Remember, this middle is where you are going to find, then you connect it to the middle point. Then moving on, this side, to achieve it, anything you have in the middle minus 1 inch or 1.5 inch, depending on what number you use, you place that number here. That is, I am using 3.5 here because I'm at 1.5 from the middle point, so I'm placing that here at the side, and I'm going to use this ruler to connect it back to the middle point as well. As you can see, that is what I'm doing over there. That was how I achieved this design. Then moving on, you go to the middle point, you chalk it or you notch it, just like I'm doing. I'm chalking it, then you fold it, then you mark out, then you cut out whatever it is you've been able to draft out with your chalk. Then you fold it back, then to achieve the down parts curve as well, you just use your ruler to do that, and then you're done with it. Then if you want to cut this with another fabric, you need to add 1 inch to it. You need to add 1 inch sewing allowance to it. For me, I used 1 inch sewing allowance. I added 1 inch sewing allowance to the black fabric I used in designing it. Once you're done cutting, you will have this design for it. So remember to add 1 inch sewing allowance if you're using to cut another fabric. So add 1 inch sewing allowance to it. So then this is the final look of the dress, but then wait a little bit so I can show you how the back looks very well. So then this is the back. I just used a pin to hold it, but there's meant to be button there. So this is the back.